Hello and welcome to the second part of this trip report. We are just about to go into the terminal of Düsseldorf, just come from our flight from Geneva, and we will continue towards Berlin. I need to find out where my gate is and then I will give you all the information that you need. So let's see, Berlin, where is the gate for Berlin? Can't see it, where is it? A40, so we should, I guess, be fairly close. It's my first time at Düsseldorf Airport. I'm very unfamiliar with this airport, but I think we are close. Let's see you at the gate. So as you could see, I'd already reached my gate, and because we still have 20 minutes until boarding, I've decided to take a quick look into the lounge. Now, on the way to the lounge, we can go through all the information on today's flight. Now, we are flying on Eurowings flight EW-1006 from Düsseldorf to Berlin-Tegel, also called TXL. Our gate is gate A40. Our boarding starts at 10:35, which means departure will be at 11:05. Our seat today is 11F, which is again on an emergency exit, just as on my previous flight. And we are flying on an Airbus A320 with sharklets. So let's get up to the lounge. We just have to go up the stairs here, and we should then arrive fairly soon. Let's see. As I said before, this is the first time I've ever been at Düsseldorf Airport, so I'm completely unfamiliar with the airport. It seems very kind of cozy and also in a way lack of space. But let's take a look inside the lounge. So here we are. As you can see in the background, we have the Germanwings flight, which I came in with from Geneva. A nice view over the airfield, and this is the lounge. Very long, quite narrow, pretty standard Lufthansa lounge, not too bad, and not too busy, which is something of course I like, because then it's easier to film it a bit. Let's see, let's have a bit of time, so let's just go over here. So we have the bar over here, and as you can see, it's quite far and not too busy today. Very nice. So I have to go back to the gate now, because we are in fact soon to start boarding. So we are back, we are already on the aircraft. Boarding did go smoothly once it started. So we did have quite a delay, I think about 20 minutes. Due to the late arrival of the aircraft. I mean, you can't really argue with that. If the aircraft is not there, they can't start boarding. But of course it is a bit problematic. I do have quite a tight schedule today. I have about 1 hour from landing at the airport in Berlin to get to where I have to go to in Berlin. Well, I have 1.5 hours, so I still have a bit more time to run on. But let's hope that it won't affect any further parts of my journey today. As you can see, we are beginning to push back. We are in seat 11F, and I will leave you with that, and then we come back again when we get closer to Berlin, and then we can talk about how the flight went. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are still on flight Eurowings 1006 from Düsseldorf to Berlin. As you can see, we are on final approach, which is in fact the second time today on this flight, believe it or not. So what has happened? Well, we were already on our final descent, and then we got sent into a holding pattern above Berlin. Like pretty much every other aircraft flying into Berlin at this time of the day. And why is that? Well, because we came into Berlin exactly at the time when President Obama from the United States of America decided to leave Berlin. And obviously, well, it's not obvious, but for some reason a foreign president can decide to close the airspace in a foreign country. So airspace of Berlin was closed for about half an hour, which meant no aircraft was allowed to land or take off from Berlin-Tegel airport, where we of course were going to, so we had to wait. Now, we already had an initial delay before we departed, and this has certainly not helped. And I hate to say it, but if we had left Düsseldorf in time, I'm pretty sure we would have landed in Berlin before they closed the airspace. So that is pretty annoying, because now I am very close to getting late for my meeting in Berlin. But anyway, So we did take off in Düsseldorf from runway 23 left. Then we did right turn, flew a bit north and then over to east so we could go into Berlin. I do not know which runway we will come into in Berlin. I will let you know or update you on that situation as soon as we have landed. I hope that they won't close the airspace again. That would be quite annoying. But anyway, the flight itself was pretty decent. I mean, except for having, of course, to wait more than half an hour for nothing. The leg space, or the leg room, again, was excellent. Of course, I'm sitting in an emergency exit row, so it's difficult to compare. But even with the other, if you were sitting in a normal row on this flight, on a Eurowings flight, you would have more or less the same leg space, at least in this part, in the economy smart section, as it's called. You would have the same leg space, more or less, as with Lufthansa. I like to compare it with. And as it is a subsidiary, it's no wonder that the product is pretty similar. Now to the food, we got a bag with a drink and a sandwich and some sweets. We didn't get an extra drink because they actually had to stop the service due to turbulence. Well, you see some water and the sandwich. I got a cheese sandwich, which was terrible. Now, it's the second sandwich today I'm getting, which is terrible. The first one I got on my first flight of the day. If you haven't seen that trip report, feel free to click the card, which is showing up here on the right side. But honestly speaking, the food was terrible. The sandwich was terrible. And if that is the standard that Eurowings serves, there's really no point for anyone to spend money on that. So either Eurowings give people some better sandwiches, or just leave them away, because there's really no point in getting this. Anyway, we are getting very close now to heading into Berlin, which means it's time for me to be quiet so we can assess the landing, and then we will talk again as soon as we've started our taxiing. Well, not the smoothest landing I've experienced, but definitely also not the worst one. Again, it is a very windy day today, so given that, it was quite alright. Now, as there is the terminal is to our left side and there's no runway to our right side, we have definitely landed on runway 26 right. And we're now taxiing into the terminal. Let's see where we will end up. I will leave you with the taxiing, so see you in a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Berlin. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until you have reached your final parking position and the front seatbelt signs have been turned off. Captain and Resort at the end, who would like to say goodbye to you now. Thank you for being our guest on this Eurowings flight. We regret our delay you are, but hope it will not cause you any further inconvenience. Nevertheless, we wish you a pleasant day in Berlin and surroundings and say thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
And we are off. We did get a position directly at the terminal, so we are now on our way into that. Now, due to the design of Berlin-Tegel Airport, you can potentially leave the airport extremely fast, which of course is good now that I have a delay of more than an hour, and I in fact do need to leave quite quickly. So now it's time for the final review of this trip. Now for today's flight, I will give a score on the individual categories, as you can see them here: departure airport, lounge, boarding, flight and arrival airport, and from that we will then get our final score. Now, departure airport, Düsseldorf, it's the first time I've been there. I did find it quite crowded, and if there were any more people I would find it quite uncomfortable. However, the arrival gate and the departure gates were very close to each other, so I will give it I think a fair score with 4 points. The lounge itself was very decent, very nice, quite large, so that was nice, not too crowded. The boarding itself, of course, actually not too bad. It went very smoothly, except of course that we had this already initially at least 20 minutes delay, which of course came to bite us in the ass later. The flight itself, well, the food wasn't so good. The service was alright. The flight itself was alright, but then of course because of the initial delay, then we couldn't land, and we had an even greater delay. So unfortunately, quite poor. The arrival airport, Berlin-Tegel, I have been flying from here a few times and it has always worked quite well. I know it's an airport that is quite busy and it's way over its maximum capacity, but for example now getting out of the airport is very quick, and therefore I will give it a very nice 5 stars. So there we have it. The final score is a bit poor 3.8 on today's flight, but given the circumstances there was really not much more we could give this flight. Now with that, we have reached the end of this trip report. I hope you have enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a like if you have so, or subscribe if you're new around here. I would like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.